In this video, I'm going to show you how I edit my vlogs and give you some tips and tricks to help you edit your vlogs, so stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to Teaching Thursdays. Before we move on, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and if you have, there's a little bell right next to it that you want to click so you can continue to get our video updates. Alright, so this is part 4 of the How to Vlog series, and today I'm going to show you how I edit my vlogs. In a second, I'm going to put up my screen and talk while we see the whole editing process for episode 120, which is the next video coming out. So check it out, enjoy, and if you have any questions, always leave them in the comments. Here we go. Here I am. Basically what I've done is I put all my clips into a folder, and that's folder 1-30-17, and I am loading up the clips right into the timeline, and I'm cutting them. So like I said in one of the videos in the How to Vlog series, I take the whole chunk, I take the whole clip, and I cut it down to only what's needed. So only an action, right? So as you can see, I shoot long clips sometimes, and I only end up using a few seconds from them, just to keep it interesting, right? So here we basically moved. Here we're changing the title. Here we're changing the title to reflect the correct number of the vlog episode, and then the way that Adobe Premiere works, we have basically a bunch of layers, and you see the video 1, video 2, video 3. Basically, the layers are stacking up on each other. So that's where you see the text up there. It says Castro. That's basically a layer on top of my regular video layer, which allows me to put text on the screen. So there you go. Get a little fancy with it. We don't need that one, so I removed it. But yeah, here we go. So basically, I'm in the bottom layers to the audio layers, right? So whatever's in the audio layer, you can add like more than 3. By default, it shows you 3, but you can add a bunch more. But yeah, so the audio, I only have that little audio clip at the beginning, which is like the sound at the beginning when I do the Castro vlog logo. And so here we go. So basically this clip is just a clip doing the drilling sequence, right? And it's basically like 3 or 4 shots, but everything is cut down. And in this case, the drill piece, where I actually drill the wall, I speed it up so that it's doesn't take that long, but I still want to show you guys the whole thing. And also the drill is kind of loud. So I went ahead and modified the audio on that clip so that the audio on that clip was like minus 10 dB, which is like the way you measure sound. So minus 10 dB is a lot. I lowered the sound a lot on that clip. You can still hear the drill, but it's not overwhelming. It's not going to mess up your ears when you're watching the video. And basically, just keep doing the same thing. I load up the clip, and whatever is not essential, the beginning where I actually hit the record button, walk to the scene, and do the action, I cut out. And then I cut out everything immediately after the action. Sometimes I won't even use a clip. If I think that another clip if I think there's another clip already in place that covers that scene, kind of gives you that idea, then I will just not use that clip. Or I'll pick the better one and I'll keep the better one and take it from there. Let's see. Here, same thing. I'm lowering the volume on that drill sound. Yeah, see, then I'm cutting out everything but the part where I actually just drill it in. And I'm going to give you the thumbs up on that piece, and I just want the thumbs up. That's it. So here we go, and we're drilling the top hole for this little rack mount. And you can have fun with this, guys. Like you can just and it's a simple thing, drilling a hole in the wall. But if you do a lot of different angles and a lot of different perspectives, close-ups, get further away, it makes the scene kind of interesting, right? So this clip was kind of long. I hit a stud, but the stud had like a knot, and the knot wasn't letting the drill make any progress. I had to pull it out, clear out the stuff that was left in the drill, and then try again. And that ended up being a really long clip. So I just ended up cutting off a bunch of it. And what you'll see sometimes is you'll see like different little captions pop up on the screen. It's like that one, the Garo one. That's from the video I did. That's from the last video. So what I'll do is when I do a new vlog is I'll take the last vlog I worked on, I'll do a save as, and then rename it. That way it has everything I need in it except for the new videos, right? So I'll make a new version of it. Basically, I'll make a copy of my last vlog and remove all the clips and all the stuff that I don't need. Then I'll add the new video clips to that one, and then I'll save it as a new file. That way it saves you a bunch of time of setting up all the little templates with your name and with your IDs and all that stuff. You can just click and drag what's already there, or remove the ones you don't need, or add a few that are new to this video only. So like, for example, the subscribe now and the follow me on whatever my social media stuff is, all those are already in this clip because I used them before. So that's kind of nice. And then what I'll do is when I'm done editing, I'll end up moving all these things around so they're like evenly spaced throughout the video. Yeah, so see, like that thumbs up. I wanted to get my thumb completely in the shot, so I had to do a couple of them. So I cut out everything but the one little part where the thumb is actually in the shot. And this is me talking. So as you can see, as you can probably tell from this part of the video, I talk and sometimes it doesn't come out right, or I don't know 100% what I'm trying to say yet. So I'll just kind of keep talking to the camera, get more comfortable and more comfortable. And by the end of that shot, I'll have a good sentence or two, and I'll cut everything else but that one good sentence or two. But it makes a difference. I mean, it makes it easier to follow, and it's easier for you guys to understand me. Here, I thought it was funny that the hatch popped open while I was trying to get it mounted, so I made a joke out of it, right? I was like, all right, well, this is what happens when you realize your hatch is open. So, let's see if I'm there. So I cut that out. I only leave that part. But as you can see, it's all part of like a scene, right? It's all part of like a mission, right? So my mission for this video was to get the kayak mounted on the wall and show you guys how to do it for cheap. So this is kind of like the payoff, right? Like this is the actual accomplishment of the goal that was stated at the beginning of the video, right? So as a viewer, you get to see so as a viewer, you get to see how at the beginning I stated at the beginning of that video I stated how I wanted to get my kayak mounted on the wall and do it for less than the full price of a real like production rack, like from Talia, for example. Those things cost like $100, $120, $150 sometimes just to get your kayak mounted on the wall. And so the point of this video is to show you guys that we can do it for a lot cheaper. I think those little mounts cost like $15. So there it is. And then yeah, so it's basically going to be just me adding clips and cutting the beginning of it off and the end, or just taking the little piece of a clip that it makes sense to me, that sounds like clear and it makes my point and it's entertaining. Otherwise I'm cutting the whole thing off. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. See, so out of that whole clip, I only use that much. Yeah, so sometimes, like, if you want to avoid this kind of editing right there, is if it sounds like while you're recording you say something and you don't nail it, you want to basically take the time to pause for a second and say whatever you were going to say again, like clearly in one sentence or in a complete statement. That way you're not have to worry about cutting the ums and the uhs out in the video. I used to be able to get away with it a lot easier on the podcast, because on the podcast, if you cut out a word or two or like an and a it's not going to skip. Like it's not going to show your frame or like your face skipping on the video. But with video it does, so it's hard to edit out the ums and the uhs without getting the jump cut effect, where like the face just kind of jumps from one side to the other or like moves around. So I've had to work on that. But it's all a learning process. Let's see some tips they can give you guys for editing your videos. So there's always that. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so I use Adobe Premiere Pro. It's just what I've always used. It's a little bit difficult to get used to, but there's tons of videos and tutorials on YouTube you guys can watch. It's that's the cool thing about YouTube. You can pretty much learn anything. But if you're going to get serious about making videos, I would recommend that you learn something like Adobe Premiere Pro. It is awesome. You can do so many things with it. And I'm sure there's things that I don't know how to. I'm sure there's things I don't know how to do yet, but I've only learned enough to get my videos put out, right? So as new things pop up, like for example, this is my first time doing a real screen capture of this video. So it kind of took a while. I had to figure out how to actually record my screen. So that was kind of different. But yeah, you don't have to, I guess my point is, you don't have to be a Adobe Premiere Pro expert or whatever video editing software you use. You don't have to be an expert at it. You just have to know enough to get your video made. And for example, once you got the basics, once you understand how to make like a basic title shot like that, a basic title screen like that, how the layers work, how to make, so you've struggled through making your first vlog and you get it made and it's done and it's out. The next time you come around, maybe you can work on adding like a title shot like that, like a little subscribe stuff inside, or like a little name badge, or like a little company something, right? And then it's one more additional thing you know how to do, and it's not as overwhelming as trying to learn everything at once, right? So every time you make a new video, maybe teach yourself something small, something new, and you can look it up on YouTube and learn how to do it. But it's something you'll have that you'll know how to do that can make your vlogs a lot better, right? So for example, if you learn something new, like a new little effect, new little editing tactic, a new little time saver, then you'll end up in the span of 10 videos, you'll know 10 new things, right? So that's the goal here for me, is to learn how to do something new every time I make a video, whether it's, and the little thing you learn that's new doesn't have to be in the actual editing software. It could be in your shooting style. It could be in a camera setting. It could be in your lighting. It could be any of those things. Just as long as you're trying to teach yourself something new in one of your videos, and even if it doesn't look better, right? At least you know that doesn't work, right? So for example, say you're trying to get better at lighting, and your lighting just comes out weird, like it's overexposed or whatever. Then at least you know what doesn't work, right? And you won't try that again. But you can still keep trying something new stuff. You can still keep trying new stuff. Anyway, back to the editing here. Yeah, it's pretty much straightforward when it comes to the video clips. I load the clip onto the timeline, I watch it, and I cut off the beginning that I don't like. I'll keep the middle part where I actually say what I need to say, and then I cut it right after I say what I need to say. That way it doesn't linger on. There's a cool trick too. Like sometimes if you shoot with a device that doesn't have the 1080p perspective, like it does 720, you can do a right click and then scale to frame, and then what it'll do is it'll adjust the video to 1080. You lose a little bit of resolution, doesn't look as nice, but still it fits the screen and you don't have the black border around it. So here, even though we're done with the actual purpose of the video, which is kind of get the kayak mounted on the wall, I threw in a bunch of extra footage to give you the feel of basically how I have my setup, right? That it kind of doesn't just end it so abruptly, right? So it's in place. The kayak is on the wall. Everything that has to do with the kayak is in place. And then I give you guys also a 2 weeks later review on how it actually worked, right? So in this one, I was just kind of talking about all these different angles and I end up just cutting a bunch of it out, because I either said it already in the video in the end of the last filming session, which was during the day when I was sitting in front of the kayak, and I didn't want to repeat myself, or I said it multiple times during that same filming session, like at night. So I usually, what I'll end up doing with that is I'll take the better cut and use that. All right, so here I'm going to go back to I think I go back, after I'm done editing the actual video, what I'll do is I'll go back and align the video 2 layer to have all the little pop-ups, all the little text, all the title screens. So now I'm gonna mess with all the title screens. See how right now they're all stacked up at the beginning? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spread those out. And actually, I think I need to make one. I need to make a different one here. I need to change this one. So links to all the parts in the description below, or links to parts in the description below, make it all, center it, and it's ready to go. Put it in place. I'm adding the cross dissolve effect to the beginning and the end of that title shot, the title overlay. And what that does, instead of just popping up the words, it'll kind of fade them in and fade them out as you watch the video. See? All right, so now I'm going to start moving some of these around. It is kind of random at this point. For those title shots, I don't need them to be in a specific spot, but I do want them to pop up throughout the video. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it, making them spread out. So I'm just going to watch and see if how it flows. Seeing if at any point I feel like maybe this is like, if I start to think about, if I'm watching the scene and I start to think even for a split second that it's all right, it's not as interesting. What I'll do is I'll shorten that clip even more, because that's what you want. You want to make sure that your clips are interesting and only long enough to show the idea, and then move on, because otherwise it's going to get boring. So my only really long clips in this case are the ones where I'm talking, because I'm actually saying something, so that might be kind of interesting. Or if it's a process of something and it has to be included the whole thing, then what I'll do is I'll speed it up. So like the drill, for example, like the drilling process, yeah, it takes a while it takes more than a couple of seconds to drill that hole. So what I'll do is I'll speed up that clip and maybe let it take like a second or 2 seconds, and it's more interesting that way. All right, so now I'm playing with let's see, what is this? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which song I want to use for this video. Basically, how I get my music is YouTube has a music library that you can use that's royalty free. Some of them are royalty free. Some of them are royalty free, and you don't even have to say who the artist was. So, and you can monetize them. So it's not one of those ones that's free. It's not one of the ones that you use for like that'll pop up and say free music and it makes you do a bunch of stuff. No, this is actually part of the YouTube. I think it's called a music library, music something. I forget. I'll try to find it and put a link in the description. But it's basically a library of music that YouTube allows you to use, and some of it you have to put the artist's name on the screen and mention them in the description. But most of it is just you can use it and don't have to put the artist's name, and it's free and it's monetizable. So it's really cool. So what I've done is I've been through that library and listened to a bunch of those songs and music tracks, and I picked out the ones that are my favorites and in different moods and stuff, and I put them into a little folder called, I think, music samples on my computer, and I have all the music I need to make most of my videos, and depending on what the mood is, and that's what I use. And here what I do is basically I set up the video right at the beginning I set up the music right at the beginning of the video, and then I'll let it play out. And when I talk, like right here, for example, I'll cut the sound off, I'll cut the music off. And so you guys can hear what I'm saying. Then I'll slide that clip of music that's been cut off down the timeline until I'm ready for music again. All right, so here I'm talking, and now right there, that little shot of the kayak on the wall by itself, I want to have music on that, so I let that piece play out. See right there, I let that. Yeah, here I think I even edited myself saying something even more there. Oh, here we go. So see right there, that's where the music, I left a little chunk of music there because that's only for the scene where the kayak is on the wall by itself. Then I start talking again, so I cut off the music. And let's see, I'm still talking, so I'm sliding the music down the timeline until I need it again. So still talking. Here we go. So, say I only need the music for that little transition. Yeah. So this is pretty much how the process I use for adding music to the videos. And this video is short, but on the longer videos where that one track is not long enough, what you can do is at one of those places where you cut off the sound, like right there. The next time you come into the song, you can either change song, or you can start the same song over again, but just cut off the beginning. So it sounds like it's still the same song, but continues on. It all depends on like the mood you want to set, right? With the music you're using. Just making sure it flows here. And with YouTube, the end screens, they start at like 20 seconds before the end of the video. So what I'll do is I'll measure out the subscribe title and make sure it starts like right around 20 seconds before the end of the video, so I can use that and point to a little subscribe badge once I load it up on YouTube. So that's why you see me stretching out that time there. And I ended up just deleting the rest of that sound file that I didn't use because I didn't have a need for it at that point. There's no place for it to play because I'm talking the whole time. Now we're going to choose how I export the file. These are all the settings, 1080p, and this is an interesting thing right here. Most people do one pass on the editing piece. I like to do two passes because it makes the video look a lot smoother. And here's another thing. When you export from Premiere Pro, that little timeline thing, it's got to go from the beginning to the end of your video. And you'll see me modify it right now. Because what happens is it'll export your video and you end up with like a really long end with just like black space, or you'll miss the beginning of your video, right? So you got to make sure that in and out sequence is set correctly on your Premiere file right there. See, the beginning was short. Once that little, it's the little gray bar where my mouse is right there. See, it has an end cap and the beginning. That has to be right at the beginning and the end of your video, of your actual video clips. That way, when you export it, it exports correctly. And anyway, so what I'm doing now is I went through the video and I picked a good screenshot that I want to use for my thumbnail. Then I exported the screenshot, and I opened my title screen, my thumbnail generator on Photoshop. I pasted the screenshot we just took into my template for making my thumbnails, and now I'm going to modify all the text on the screen to make it match the new one. So I changed it to episode 120. I'm adding the do-it-yourself badge here. The background has a kayak on the wall and my face, because you want to put your face in your thumbnails. It helps with people clicking on it. And then let's see. I'm modifying the border on these words. Now I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to put, how to make a kayak rack. The text is too close together, so I'm going to separate it a little bit. You'll be able to see it in a sec. I'm going to add the background to it. There it goes. So I add the stroke, and I add the stroke option in the blending options in Photoshop to the text to make it have that black border. At this point, it's just kind of like graphic design, like whatever you think looks best. It's up to you. And those little blue lines you see on the screen, the little guidelines, they tell me what's going to be in the center. And what's in the center, it's what's going to show up on Instagram. So I like to put, I'll usually make one thumbnail for both Instagram and Facebook. And well, this is the one I use for Instagram, Facebook, and the actual thumbnail in YouTube. So the little blue guidelines tell me that the center part is what's going to show up when I post this on Instagram. So that's good. That's kind of helpful to leave it's kind of helpful to put the useful information in the middle, in my case, because I'm too lazy to make a special thumbnail for just Instagram. So here we go. What I did there is I created a custom shape behind the text just to fill it in, so you can't see through the middle of the text. I think it looks kind of cool. It's like it's becoming like a little style thing. Now I'm saving the thumbnail to my Instagram. I call it my Instagram preload folder, so I can post that on Instagram later. And then I'm also saving it to my local drive. Alright, I hope you've picked up a few pointers from watching this video to help you edit your vlogs. This concludes the How to Vlog series, but if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and if there's enough interest or questions that are getting asked often, I might just add more onto this series, but I need more specific questions to work off of. Next Teaching Thursday, we're starting a different topic, and we're going to go with how to photograph your kids. So I'm going to have some fun with the kids, photograph them, and share with you guys some techniques on how to get good shots of your kids, because they love to run around. And yeah, there's a lot of things to consider, and a lot of things you can control, and a lot of things you can't control, and sometimes just even knowing what those are is going to put you ahead of the game. So next Thursday is how to photograph your kids, and I don't know how many videos I'm going to do on it. It depends what the interest is like, and but for sure I'm going to show you guys the basics of cameras, and we'll use a point and shoot, a real basic camera, and see how that goes. So stay tuned for that. That'll be next Thursday. Become an RCV insider. There's things I'll be doing in the future that are going to revolve around that email list. So if you join that email list, you'll be aware of what we're doing, and I'm talking like maybe trips, special discounts, special offers, giveaways. So that's the plan with the Roman Castro Vlog Insider List. If you want to watch the whole How to Vlog series from the beginning, check out How to Vlog series playlist up here. You might like this video. Subscribe down here, hit this button right here, and make sure you hit the little bell next to it so you get notifications when we put out new videos. If you are not a RC Vlog Insider, you might want to become a Roman Castro Vlog Insider. Get email updates, special offers from some of the vendors I work with. Join it, become a part of the group. Thanks for watching this video. Talk to you soon.